Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the call. I'm Ray Madorn. Barb and I are master coordinators from Scottsdale, Arizona. We're going to do a short introduction before we turn the meeting over to the real host. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the OPA organization. For those of you that are new and maybe joining us for the first time, or maybe your guest, this is our monthly OPA call. These calls are hosted by the master coordinator organizations that begin with Mary and Gary Loomis and has continued and grown under their son, Rob. The OPA organization today includes 10 master coordinator organizations, including one presidential master. OPA stands for Organic Product Associates. This is the name that the Loomises, gave their business organization because they knew early on that their Shackley business would grow, way beyond the place where people would know the names of most of the early mentors and masters, and they wanted to create a family legacy. The OPA organization has grown today where it is doing over $10 million in sales annually with over 300 business leaders. Pretty good size organization. So that's a little bit about the OPA organization and its history. And by the way, this call is being recorded and archived on the website opastuff.org. That's opastuff.org. So if some of your people could not be on the call tonight, and you can send them to the opastuff.org and they can listen to it, or maybe you just want to re-listen to it yourself. So I'm going to turn the call over to Barb now, who is going to introduce the real host of tonight's OPA call. Barb?
Hi. Carolyn Whiteman is someone who has always impressed me because she understands the business so well. And she got started many years ago when, after she came home from the Peace Corps, she discovered Basic H and some cleaning products and went from there. And she saw the business opportunity very early on and has expanded that and built this business by herself, single-handedly as a female. She is married. Eddie definitely supports her. And the business is something that she has really done herself. And so that's quite an accomplishment, I think, these days for a woman, and is becoming more commonplace. And then also, she has always, as far as I've known her and we've known her, expected more of us than we've expected or believed in ourselves. And I think that's a real gift that she has, and one that we work to pass on to the people in our organization, too, because we're usually our own worst enemy, and we put ourselves down in our brain if we don't say it out loud. And she's someone that always works us to stretch us. And so we do that with our group, too, and what we've found is that people just expand and become more wonderful than they already are because it's already inside them. So, Carolyn, take it away.
Barb, my goodness, what a beautiful introduction. Thank you very much. And I thank all of you for being here. This is the creaky voice of Carolyn, who has been dealing with some bronchial stuff, so whatever they had me breathing has got me sounding creaky. But anyway, I'm happy to be here and to share our thinking tonight with our longtime friend and partner, Roland, and with Barb and Ray and with all of you. And here's our focus. What we'd like to do is talk about looking towards the conference and breaking the barriers to our future. And part of this has to do with our thinking, with our focus, with our vision. But I'd like to do some real specific things and hopefully use this as a thoughtful piece for you as we prepare for a conference, and particularly with some of the introductions that will be made by the company. And so we can decide how we want them to fit in to what it is that we're building. So, Scott, if we can do the first slide. So some of you may have seen this, but to me it is an absolutely foundational understanding of the market that we are working in. And this is the way I'd like for you to listen to this, is look at the world around you and the people you may be talking to, the people you may be choosing to introduce to products or business or having any conversations with, maybe those people that are resistant. And what I'd like to have us look at this is to understand where their thinking is. So this is the cash flow quadrant with thanks to Robert Kiyosaki. So next slide. So if you are listening and can't see this, you can draw a square on your paper. Top left is the letter E. Lower left is the letter S for Sam. Top right is the letter B. And lower right is the letter I. And this has been an absolutely foundational core understanding for me about our business when I first learned about this. Robert Kiyosaki has got a book called The Cash Flow Quadrants. He's also done a wonderful book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so here's what I'd like to do is to go through what these quadrants are and have us understand where the thinking is of the market. So, Scott, let's start out with the E quadrant. The top left is the employee quadrant. And what we get to remember, if you want to write down any number at all, this is probably 90% of the market of people that we talk to. Maybe it's more. But this is the default setting that people are looking to have a job. They're absolutely grounded in about 3 generations worth of being told that the way that we create income is to go get a job. And when you have a job, among the things, I don't know if there's another thing on there, Scott. Is there anything else on that slide? Or the
nope.
Next one. No, let's go back. Let's go back to the E. Here are the keys to an employee. The keys to an employee is their taxes are paid first. So every $100 that they earn as an employee, they've already taken out, let's say, $40. And that's for all the deductions and expenses and all that sort of thing. So what an employee basically is getting is the money after taxes to live on for their cash flow. And that has been so rooted in their thinking that that's the way their business works. What that does is it brings up the importance of cash flow. In other words, they need money. They want something immediate, and this will play into what we'll be talking about the what's going on at conference. So let's say everything on the left side of these quadrants is time equals money. And this is really important for us to understand because one of the first things that we hear from people is, oh, I don't have enough time. Well, that's not really true, but that's their expectation. So as we move down into the F quadrant, sometimes people will get to a place where they go, okay, I really don't want to work for somebody else. Our time is limited, our roles are limited. But as we move down to the S quadrant, Scott, S stands for self-employed, or it stands for small business owner. The idea is I don't want to work for somebody else. What I want to do is I want to work for myself. I don't know, Scott, whether those slides advance. There we go. Okay. So what people will sometimes do is go, I'm not going to work for somebody else. I'm going to work for myself. And they become self-employed or they become a specialist. This is where your attorney is. This is where your CPA is. This is where your nail tech is. This is where your favorite hairstylist is. This is where someone who runs any kind of a small business, they don't work for someone else, but what they do is they work for themselves. And they are absolutely also limited to time equals money. Now, what's important about this is the market that we are playing into. And so those people are the ones who have more of a need for, I want some cash flow, I need some extra money right now. So that's the left side. And on this side, this is time equals money, and the day that you are not working is also the day that you are not getting paid. We're down in the self-employed quadrant. So you're sick, you're on vacation, whatever it is, you get no income. So it's important to understand that this is the thinking of what's going on in most of the market that we're working with. It's just 3 generations worth of this is the way people are. So next one. This is where we move over to the right side, to the business owner quadrant. And this is the goal. This is where your entrepreneurs are. This is where your independent business owners are. This is where the thinking is of people who are creating an asset, long-term income in the Shaklee business. This is how those of us who've been able to create business organizations made the commitments that we were not just building a little bit of cash income, but that we were building a business organization. And this is where the conversation about building masters, about building masters under masters, about building leadership groups, that comes from the thinking in this business quadrant. And here's what's important about this. This is not a time equals money. And this is where you have a business that works for you, but it is not a business that necessarily pays you instantly at the beginning, because you start out a business as an apprentice. You need to learn skills. You need to develop your ability to create it. You create teams. You surround yourself by other people who are powerful and effective, which is not the same kind of model as what you get on the left side of the quadrants. This is the target for creating an asset income. And then we'll do the I quadrant, Scott. The I quadrant is the investor quadrant. And this is where ideally everybody thinks they want to live. When I have $20 million in the bank that's tax-free and, locked into something that will have never be impacted by global economic changes or, changes of anything, then that's what we think we want to live with. The challenge is that all 3 of these quadrants are the places that people try to derive their money to get it into that investor quadrant. And the reality is it really doesn't work. So you can read a lot of things about how the whole idea of having your 401k is the way that you're going to survive and support yourself in retirement. But those kinds of things, with many, many of the changes in the global economy, make a lot of those things questionable. So let's go one step further then. The business owner quadrant works even when we don't. And this is what requires a whole different set of thinking. It's what creates a separate set of vision. And this is where, as we go into a conference, this is where there's a distinction. Maybe you want to use the term, the distinction between being in direct selling, which is primarily the left side of this box. Direct selling is, I'm going to go do some more, I'm going to create some activity, I'm going to talk to some people, but there is no stability in that. It's a good starter place, it's a place to get people going, but it absolutely will not create a long-term income. What we're looking at doing is opening up for us the business owner quadrant and understanding the value of creating an asset income. So next slide, Scott. So what we want to do is address this in our thinking to introduce this to all of you special people who are with us on the call, to think about 2 things. One of them is to think about what is your thinking. What is your thinking? What are you looking at? What is the vision that you have for your business? And if it is based on having some short-term income, making, a few $100s a month, creating some cash incentives, being in action, that's perfectly fine. But what you get to know is that level of thinking is what's going to determine the size of your business. In order to have a larger business, we need to elevate our thinking, expand our expectations, and realize that what we're building is an income for those of us who are focused on the asset value of creating a network marketing business. Those are the incomes that all 3 of us on the call, the Madorans, Roland, and I have had the opportunity to enjoy because we have developed teams. We've developed an organization with people, all of whom have their own objectives and their own missions. We're partnering together, but it is a different level of thinking than what you will get simply by starting out focused on immediate income. So one more slide. So this introduces us to Roland. Incidentally, these slides will be available on opastuff.org. There is an expanded version of this presentation, which is also available on presidentialmasterbuilders.com. But what we want to do is focus right now on these core ideas as we look at going into conference, absorbing introductions that will be made on focuses of things that the company is looking to do to expand and start people in the business. But the reality is we cannot surpass our thinking in this business. And if we do, it becomes only temporary. So this is a focus on what is our vision, what is our objective, and what are we looking to accomplish, so we can look at how the introductions that the company will give, look at how they fit into what it is that you want your business to look like. So with that introduction, we'll do some back and forth, I'm sure, but I'd like to introduce our friend and mentor, coach, and wonderful leader, lifetime presidential master coordinator, Roland Osterhaus. Roland?
Wow, thank you. You could keep going, Carolyn. You know, I'm all in for learning. You're on a roll. Good. Very good. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody that's on, OPA, for inviting me. And I want to congratulate all of you. I don't know how many we have on this call, but there are a lot of people in the OPA group that are leaders, directors, and above. And I'm thinking of the number of people on the average that each one of you have influenced their lives positively. And I was thinking, that's pretty remarkable. It really is. Help people health-wise, some people financially. That to me is just kind of mind-blowing when you think of the number of people that have been helped by this group. So congratulations. Also, I want to say that I am very, very, very optimistic about the future with Shaklee. I really am. We have great products. We got a great dream plan. And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the market is asking for us. They're looking for us. People are not in the best of health, and they're not getting healthier. And more people are looking for that freedom, the flexibility to make an income. It's huge. And I'm not going to get into the details of how you tap this incredible market, but, you know, Carolyn, you mentioned a couple of times about focus. And that has a lot to do with seizing the potential, because the market is huge. It is unfortunately, fortunately, it's huge because people are not getting healthier, and more people getting out of college with a big college debt, and they're living at home. In fact, the suicide rate is going up in that age group. They're lost. They're looking for us. So we must understand what we can focus on. And this is an important time to think about this before we go into conference. But I know that Shaklee has thrived well, done well, and because of our products and everything that we have to offer, the integrity, the philosophy, what works best for Shaklee is network marketing. That's what works best. And the question is, are we focusing on network marketing, or are we focusing on direct sales? Do we do direct sales and network marketing? Yes, we do. I sell products to people. That's direct sales. but my focus is network marketing. And you can't put the same amount of focus into both. You're chasing two rabbits. Can't do it. Plus, the materials and everything else for direct sales are different than the materials for network marketing. It's kind of like the farmer says, I'm going to have an acre of land and I'm going to plant wheat. Feed my chickens. Chickens like wheat. It's 1 acre. And a guy down the road, neighbor down the road says, I'm going to have 500 acres of wheat. Well, the tools for the 1 acre are totally different than the tools for the 500 acres. Nothing wrong with either one, but the tools are different. So therefore, the books we read, the material we have, the videos we look at, the podcasts we listen to are different. They're different. So here's a question I feel we have to ask ourselves. If we want to really, really, really take advantage of helping a lot of other people, I personally believe that you can help more people by focusing on network marketing. And network marketing has a total different focus and it has a total different goal, and we've got to understand that. If a person wants to have a business, a good, strong directorship, and there's nothing wrong with that, and you want to manage that business, then perhaps a little bit of direct sales stuff is okay. But if you're looking, and I believe many people on this call are looking to build something much bigger than that, and neither is wrong, then to build directors, to build organizations, to build on the master coordinator, the focus must be network marketing. You can't do it with direct sales. You can't do it. Think of Tupperware as an example. They're direct sales. And therefore, their focus is all how you can make money right away. There's nothing wrong with that. But they don't build organizations. They just get a lot of people in making a little bit of income. Network marketing, it's all about the future. Direct sales is all about the present. And I know a lot of people say, I really want to grow, I really want to become an executive, I really want to become a key coordinator. It's just not working. My question is, where's your focus? And when you go to conference, all you have to do is ask some people very nicely, so what are your plans? Where are you going to be, in a year or 2 years from now in Shackley? I feel it's going to be very difficult for people to give a straight answer and tell you how they're going to do it. It's not putting anybody down, but we are a long ways away, many people are, from the focus of network marketing, and they're wondering why their businesses are not growing, why they're not developing directors. You can't do it with the focus on direct sales. Direct sales is immediate income. Network marketing, I'm focusing on a career, on a future. I'm focusing on building people, building directors who will become senior coordinators and executives and so on. And so it's a whole different level of tools. It's a whole different focus. It's a whole different understanding. To give you an example of this, let's say, for instance, a person is a hairdresser. And, generally people come in and they're telling all their problems and everything else, health problems, so on. If a person is just focusing on getting volume, and we all want to have volume, but that's all they're focusing on, they may have a couple of people a day who say, boy, I'm really short on money now. I don't know what to do. I'm looking for something. And they may even have some people who say, I'd like to work out of my home with something. And you know what? Because their focus is not network marketing, they don't hear it. They don't hear it. They say, oh, well, yeah, that'd be nice. So let me introduce another product to you. It's all about direct sales. They miss incredible opportunities because their focus is totally PV. When you look at network marketing and that is your focus is people. The big difference. Big difference. So I'm not going to get into more details on that because I would like to find out if there are any questions, because to me, this is why I am so optimistic about Shackley, because the market is huge. It is huge. But if we are in a network marketing company and we're focusing on direct sales, then we're going to miss the whole market.
Well, and maybe we can add a couple of simple distinctions. One of the resources that we're going to be posting that will be available after this call are some of the differences between network marketing and direct selling. And one of the distinctions that I like to make is if our objective is to have a big impact, direct selling is addition and sometimes subtraction. So let's say that your objective is to go out and get 10 new customers. That's addition of 10 customers because it's a clothesline, it's flat. It's people that are going out and starting to use things. To the extent that those people have strong orientation, get committed, expand the product usage, become expanded users of the products and not just jump in and jump out. To the extent they do that, we have the ability to develop a longer-term customer relationship. And all of us on this call are blessed by the fact that we all have customers and consumers that have been repeat consumers for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Now just imagine what a difference that makes, particularly when we go back to the model of the cash flow quadrants and looking at on the left side that the people on the left side, the market that we are speaking into is almost exclusively, I want something now. I want something immediate. I need some cash now. Show me how I can make some money. There's nothing wrong with that as a starter, but if that is the only focus that there is, we'll never be able to develop a long-term developing organization, which is where network marketing becomes multiplication. Network marketing is multiplication, and that's how we reach more and more and more people, not just the ones that we tap into ourselves, but the people that we have the ability that you know, this is where you hear us talking about working in depth and going down the people that I originally bring into the business are almost never the ones who end up staying and becoming the business leaders. It is the people that they bring, that they bring, that they bring, that they bring. And if you look at a mature business organization, that's what you'll find. So it's a distinction, focus. So Roland, pick it up. I'm sorry, jumped in.
I knew you'd get on a roll. That was good. Are there any questions? I'd like to know what you're thinking about this. So you can mute your own phone, please, because everybody's unmuted. So please mute your phone, and then if you would like to say something, then please leave your phone unmuted, or once you mute, you can always unmute it to ask any questions. But I feel that this is very, very important to understand the difference. And if you're looking to build directors, then the focus is going to be totally different. It's got to be network marketing. Questions? Comments?
Hey, Roland?
Yes.
This is Ray.
Good. Go ahead.
You were talking about focus, and I was talking to Gary Burke one time, and I said, I need to go out and sponsor more people. And he said, just sponsoring doesn't build a business. The desire to build a business is what drives sponsoring. Where's your focus, Ray? I thought that was just amazing, and he's absolutely right. You know, if you're building your business if you're building a network marketing business and your focus is on that business, sponsoring is something that it's an activity that happens automatically, as well as selling.
It happens.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So in other words, I'm thinking, Ray, another difference here is that if I'm looking direct sales and I'm just going to be looking for customers. Network marketing, I'm looking to help even those customers get people under them, because that's how many people come into Shackley and build businesses. They weren't really interested in building the business, but they wanted to help their friends.
Yeah.
And so they bring in 3-4 people. There's 3-4 more that I would not have if I'm just looking for 3 or 4 myself, because I probably wouldn't get 3 or 4. So it adds to the volume too.
Yeah, absolutely.
By getting people under people under people. And they don't have to be just distributors. Some of my best leaders in Shackley are people who came in, were not interested in the business, but they led me to a lot of other people because I asked questions. And by the way, if you're looking at network marketing, you're going to ask different questions. And so I got people under them and more people under them and more people under them. Pretty soon they said, whoa, I'm not going to pass this up.
Hey, Roland, this is David Swain. How are you doing?
Good, David.
I want to make a suggestion for a slight change in terminology. We keep talking about following up with people. My suggestion is to change that to the concept of following through.
Okay.
In other words, whether people have chosen to be customers, whether they've chosen to be distributors, whether they've chosen not to do the business with us, to still follow through with them to find those next people.
Well, that's a good point, because we want to find the people that they know.
Yes.
And I believe if we do it right, and there are many ways to go about communicating with them, but if we do it in a professional fashion,
right,
and no pressure, then we don't have to ask for referrals. They'll give them to us.
Sure.
It's all about how we communicate. Okay, good point. Yep. Thanks, David.
No, that's good, David.
What are you thinking? I always like to know what people are thinking. And if you think I'm out on a limb, that's okay. Doesn't matter.
So, hi, Roland. This is Ileana. I'm a guest of Carolyn's today, and
okay. Good.
Hi. I'm very much interested in doing. I'm new, by the way. Been using the products for 30 years, and now I've finally seen the light, and I'm gonna do the business. So I want to focus on the business network marketing aspect of it. On OPA, on this new website that I've been invited to, do you all have like a business model or something simple? I come from corporate America, so I'm very structured. Do you all have something that is like a structure, like this is how it is, this is what you can make, and this is how you get to the end goal? Am I making any sense?
Well, it's a great start, certainly. And yes, you do make sense. The first thing, I believe, is to understand the dream plan and how it works. Then, what Carolyn can show you very well is how we systematically, in a sense, build under people. As we call it, building in depth. Because if you understand the dream plan, you'll end up making much, much, much more income from people you never brought in. And most people are not aware of that. They think they're going to be making all this income from the people they bring in. And it's just the opposite. So if I understand that, then my focus becomes a process, a method, and I believe you're looking for a process, as to how I get people under people under people under people. Because the depth at which this thing pays is incredible. I like to give the example to people that if you sponsored in 3 people and they say they want to do Shackley and they work at Shackley and they're coachable and so on and so forth, and they each get 3 who build in Shackley, the director above, you make more money from that second generation than you do the first people, the three you brought in. And once I understand that concept, I've got to figure out, okay, what is the process for getting people under people under people, because I can't do it with everybody. And that's where Carolyn can help you and show you, okay, this is how you do it, and this is how you stay focused, and this is how far you build, and what it's going to do to the rest of the organization. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
So Ely, part of your question, we've got some of the resources that we're going to post on this call is going through some of those things. We've kind of stepped back on that a little bit, so you haven't had the chance to really dig into it. But what I would say is you actually bring up a really good topic, and that is that what you and I have done with Jim and in focusing on the business is we've looked at some of the things that actually create the stability of a long-term business. Had we just been focusing on, let's go start getting people, talking to them and getting them started, which, listen, we're barely into this, so that's obviously a piece of it. But some of the things that you and I have been working with already is we have worked on, because you're looking at creating that business owner long-term 4-year career income. That's what you're looking for. So what we need to do, as Lowen said, is have different tools. So what are some of the tools that we work with? Well, one of the first things that you and I talked about is you've enrolled in the 90 Days to Momentum program that we did with Richard Brooke, which is like 20-some hours of the richest, absolutely most treasured gold mine of how do we really create the business. And so we started with that, and that was just one of the things that you did. We talked about starting out with unit number 1 with a perspective on the big picture of the business and why we're in the right place, why we're in the right company, why we're doing the right thing. And then we have segmented some of the different other pieces, how to tell your story, focused on that. We've talked about the fact that one of the reasons that actually, as you said, from a long time successful career in corporate America, one of the things that has been important to you is how do I transition out of my corporate career, and how do I also do something that really gives me a source of value and contribution and the things that you and I have talked about. And what you see is the long term. You say, look, I'm not expecting you to make money right this minute. Obviously, we want to get in and get to the productive part of the business. But then what we want to do is create the business organization. And so with that, the tool that was important to you was being able to see the perspective of the 4-year career and use the book. And so that's one of the tools that will be a really important tool for you, is to have, a dozen of those books, because that becomes the introduction to other people about what is the profession that we're in of network marketing, because there's some people that don't understand it and, they have, whatever their expectations are. But understanding the power of compounding and the things that have made a difference to you. So those are some of the tools that will continue to be important to you, so that you have something that you can introduce people to the ideas of developing in the business organization. We've also talked about the fact that you guys are fit right into the category of people who have been in the employee quadrant, because both you and Jim are very successfully employed, have a great job, and yet the access to understanding the tax benefits of being a business owner, which is over in the business quadrant, those are not things that you've had any reason to really be introduced to, although you've gotten tweaked, I know, from your family. So it's not a totally new concept. But what are some of the things that we focus on learning and listening to that open up our thinking, that create our vision, that give us a bigger sense of how we actually create an asset income rather than I'm going to go talk to a few people that, want to use products to work out or want to get to feel better. Does that really get back and see if that's kind of what we've talked about and if that helps?
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything helps. I'm just trying to pick everybody's brain, and if I have another master coordinator on the call, I like to pick it all. But thank you. Yes, I'm on track.
Well, and here's the thing: is this introduces in this call, this introduces us to some things that may not necessarily be the first thing that people would do. But if we're looking at a bigger picture, back to where I started at the very beginning, what is the market we are speaking into? Most people in the market are looking to, I need some extra money. I don't quite have enough to be able to pay for this. I can't quite make my rent. I need a new set of tires. I need extra money. And so their thinking is based on some immediate needs, and there's nothing wrong with that because we can focus on filling some of those immediate needs. But what you and I have also done is talked about, okay, if we're going to have a bigger picture, we want to have a bigger picture of where does this fit? Because, as we said, if you have two employed people who now get access to understanding the tax benefits that come by being an independent business owner, then a lot of cash flow can be freed up if we open ourselves to some of these things. This is not to say we're trying to get people to not pay taxes. This doesn't mean that we're trying to use that as the only method. But what we're saying is that we expand our focus, we expand our vision so that people have a bigger understanding of the possibilities of creating the asset income. So they have that much more reason to be involved. It's an education factor, which if you go back to the cash flow quadrants, people who are educated as employees do not realize that independent business owners have a whole different set of tax codes. I don't have to like it. I don't have to endorse it. I don't have to say that's the way it should be. But we have an option of saying if these are things that we don't know, then it's an option of saying these are some really big pieces. And actually, Ray, you might want to jump in on this one. Are you here, Ray?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute.
Yep.
I guess just to answer her question real quick, one of the first things that she said was, what is a model for network marketing versus, my background is corporate, so is mine. You had probably a CEO of your company. You had vice presidents that were directly reporting to that CEO. Those would be the people that you sponsored directly. And then you have directors, you have managers, and you have all the employees underneath you. So the organization chart is pretty much from corporate to network marketing is the same. You just have to figure out exactly what it all means from the compensation standpoint. So, I don't know. Roland, what do you think?
I think we should get some more questions.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you,
Well,
Ray.
Ray, just since we were on that topic, maybe you just want to give a couple of sentences of your perspective of Barb in her business when it was more of a modest business at home, and your perspective as a corporate exec looking at it and understanding the bigger picture of the tax benefits.
Yeah, well, I really didn't understand a lot of what Barb did. I was in the corporate world, and I really didn't try to figure out all the things she was doing from a network marketing standpoint. But one thing that I did know was that we saved a lot of money over the years because of the tax benefits. Because in network marketing, you get your money first. You then take all of your deductions, and what is left over from a profit standpoint, that's what gets taxed. So much different than the employee model where you get taxed first. And I guess the other thing is that when I joined Barb in the business, first thing I wanted to do was understand the sales plan. I think that is just so important. I think a lot of people don't understand our sales plan, the dream plan, and if you don't understand it, then you don't know how to get to where you want to go from a network marketing standpoint in a large organization. You got to understand that sales plan. I mean, and I know it really well, and I spent probably 3 hours today just on Infinity Bonus, understanding that. Now I got it. But there's a lot of things that you just need to understand about the business, and profitability is another big one. I asked Barb, I said, what's our profit margin? And we know now, and we're teaching profitability. But those are the things that I brought with me from the corporate world to our network marketing business.
So, Ely, one of the things we'll do is connect you guys with Ray and Barb. We'll go through all of this. Yep, that's great question.
This is David Swain again. Just another observation. In thinking to the conversation that was going on a while back, Walter Cronkite keeps coming to mind, and he ended every newscast with, well, that's the way it is. And that's how we deal with the tax thing. Actually, the way that it is that the people who set up the taxes a long time ago were basically business owners, and they understood that business owners are or should be disciplined enough to keep track of all of their records and things like that and know some of these things. So they're okay to pay their taxes like once a quarter or something like that. Because that's just going to work for them. So they have more capital to work with in the meantime. Whereas the assumption, good, bad, or indifferent, is that those people who are coming looking just for a job are probably not that disciplined in things, and they're going to spend it before they get around to paying the taxes, and that's going to be a real problem for them eventually. So let's take the taxes up front and then make them be at least disciplined enough to do a little bit of paperwork to get some of it back.
Yeah, excellent, David.
What we're trying to do is be those responsible business owners to take that responsibility, know those things, understand those things, follow through on those things, and take advantage of everything that's there so that we ultimately only pay as much as we need to pay, not more than that, trying to get it back and treating that as a piggy bank, which is just the wrong way to do things.
Yep, that's excellent. And incidentally, there's an excellent resource. If you go to allsysproductions.com, there's a whole sequence of tax education that's available in free webinars that really begin to open up our education to this part, which is how we get into the network marketing side as opposed to the direct selling side. So Roland, back to you.
Any other questions? What are you thinking?
I'm wondering how this relates to conference.
Well, if people are thinking about building directors, building executives, moving on to master coordinator, then we must understand network marketing. And the number one most important thing in network marketing is focusing on the future. That's number one, number two, number three in terms of priority. So that way when you go to conference, you can talk to people and find out if they're into network marketing or into direct sales. And if you're looking to take advantage of the people that are there in terms of learning, then you want to talk to people who understand network marketing, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you want to build. We must have more clarity of the future than we do the present. If you're going to take your family to Disney World or Disneyland, what we're looking at, what we're planning, what we're going to do is pretty stationary. It doesn't move much. We know what time they open up. We know what time they close. We know what time the parade is. We know a lot of details of what we're going to do when we're there. We don't have all the details as to how long it's going to take to drive there, and if we're going to have a flat tire, and if it's going to rain. We don't have all the details on that, because you can't. You can't have details on the present, but you can the future. And so the details must be very, very, very clear, because 95% of what we do every day is done subconsciously. And the clearer the focus, the clearer the details, then the less physical work we're going to have to put into it. Just like the kids say, hey, we want to go on spring break. Springtime of the year, it's cold where they live. We want to go down to Cancun or someplace. And the parents do everything to discourage them. You don't have any money. You don't know where you're going to stay. You can't. It's ridiculous. You can't go. You know what? They figure it out. They've got the details. They've got the details of what's going to happen down there, and the people they're going to meet, and the kids they're going to be with, and where they're going to go swimming, and all the pools that are there, and they've got all the details. So when people have the details as to where they're going, you can't stop them. So if somebody comes into Shackley and they say, I think I want to do this thing, okay, let's get started. You're not helping them with the details. You got to find out the details, otherwise they will revert to direct sales and they will not be able to build an organization. You can't do it. You cannot build an organization with direct sales.
Hi, Denise.
So therefore,
how are you? I won't say how are you, generally speaking. I mean, I can imagine how you are.
Somebody's talking in the background. So the important thing is, number one, number two, number three, number four, is we must have details of the future. And when I'm helping somebody else to grow, we're so quick to give them all the how-to. Like I told somebody today, I said, so you're going to be talking to so-and-so, and they're interested in growing in Shackley. Plan on spending 30 minutes talking about the future. That's a big difference right there. 30 minutes, maybe an hour talking about the future. Get the details of the future. What will life be like? What is it going to be like? You say you're going to be a senior executive, and let's say you're going to be making $5,000 a month. Will that change you at all? What will you do with that money? How will life be? You say you're quitting your job. How will it feel to get up in the morning and you're getting up on your own time? How will it feel? You got to get people feeling the future, just as we picture the future going to Disney World. Same thing. If because you're on the call and Rob's got buckets of money he doesn't know what to do with, everybody gets free tickets, 10 days in Hawaii at the Rainbow Tower. Huh. You know what? You'd probably get off the call right now and you would check all the details. Do they have a washer and dryer? Do they have a car rental service there? How far are they from the international marketplace? How much of a beach do they have? Do they have things that you can rent on the beach so you can go out and play in the water? Do they have sailboats? You would get all the details. Everything's free. All you have to do is say, yes, this is when I'm going. 10 days, room, food, extra spending money. You would have all the details. And every time you would drive your car, every time you get up in the morning, what would you think about? More details. That's where the thinking must go. So, Ely,
we'll talk some more. We'll talk some more and get all those details out for you.
You got it.
We decided we didn't want to drown you with too much.
No, I don't want to be drowned too much. Little bits of
That's exactly. Yep. We decided we'd take it in steps. So you're absolutely right. We'll get you connected.
So that's the main thing that I have to say, but I hope you understand why I'm so optimistic about the future, because if we start working as network marketers, we'll build fabulous businesses. And we have the market, we have the people, we have the product, we have everything. It's just a matter of focusing in the right direction. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Roland, and thanks, Ray and Barb. And just so we know, remember there really are two sides to our business. One is the product side, the other is the business development side. And the joy that we have, the gift that we have, is such extraordinarily powerful products that are tested, that have the science, that have the heritage, that have the patents, that have all of these things behind them. So we can be so comfortable that as we introduce the utilization of these products to people, we don't have to turn around and look over our shoulder and be concerned. And what that opens up for us is the power and the possibilities of creating that asset income, so people do become our longest term customers with, as you said, David, the follow through, having them come in for the reasons, understanding our culture, understanding what it is they're building. And that's what's really exciting. So among the secrets to preparing for conference, really the question is, what is your focus? And to be open to realize what the market is, what people are looking for. So many of them are looking for something instant. But when your focus expands, that's what gives you the opportunity of creating the powerful long-term income. So thanks, everyone, for being here. Scott, if there are any other questions or comments at the end, and we will be posting some of these resources available for you on opastuff.org.